There is something deeply disturbing that is happening in the world of spirituality, and no one is talking about it. The deeper your healing day, the more conscious you become, the more it seems that your financial life falls apart. If you are in this paradox, spiritually waking up but fighting economically, you are not alone and you are definitely not crazy. Carl Jung, the psychologist who revolutionized our understanding of the human psyche, understood this phenomenon better than anyone. He knew that when we started the process of individuation, that sacred day of becoming who we really are, our entire relationship with the material world enters crisis. It is not a mistake, it is part of the process. In this video, we are going to explore through Jung's lenses why spiritually awake people fight financially, and more importantly, how you can navigate this paradox without sacrificing your spiritual growth or your material well-being. What you are going to discover can change forever the way you see your relationship with money and your day of awakening. Did you notice how the more you enter your self-knowledge day, the more your financial life seems to collapse? It is not coincidence, and you are not doing anything wrong. Carl Jung taught us that when we begin the individual process, that sacred day of becoming who we really are, our psyche goes through a complete revolution. And one of the first things that this revolution questions are the invisible contracts we did with survival, including our deepest beliefs about money and security. What Jung would call enantiodromia, the transformation towards opposites, is happening within you. Your old person, that social mask that knew exactly how to work in the material world, is disintegrating, and with it, all the automatic mechanisms you used to generate money. Your ego, which previously operated from survival and competition, is now in an unknown territory where the old rules no longer apply. Jung understood that when the self, your true spiritual nucleus, begins to emerge, creates an inevitable conflict with external structures that are not aligned with your authentic essence. Money in our society is so intertwined with values that you can contradict your spiritual awakening, that your psyche unconsciously begins to reject it. It is as if your soul said, "This is not certain, this is not clean, this is not who I really am." This resistance is not sabotage, it is wisdom. Your unconscious is protecting your spiritual integrity, but it is also creating an internal battlefield where your material survival and your spiritual evolution seem to be at war. Jung would remind us that this conflict is exactly where the alchemical gold of the transformation resides. Your nervous system, that ancestral survival network that you carry inside, has a primary function that Jung deeply recognized: stay alive. But here is the problem. For your nervous system, living means family, and even if that familiarity is painful. Carl Jung observed that the human psyche prefers known suffering before unknown happiness, and this manifests itself powerfully in your relationship with money. When you were a child, your nervous system absorbed each tension, each discussion about money, every moment of scarcity as survival information. Jung would call this the formation of complexes, autonomous, emotional patterns that live in your unconscious and that are automatically activated before certain stimuli. If money was associated with stress, conflict, or anxiety in your home, your nervous system literally learned that money is dangerous. Now, when abundance tries to enter your life, your nervous system perceives it as a threat. It is as if an internal alarm triggered, "This is not normal, this is not safe." Your body begins to generate symptoms of anxiety, procrastination, self-sabotage, all in an unconscious attempt to return to the family security zone, even if that area is scarcity. Jung understood that personal growth active what he called the transcendent function, the ability of the psyche of creating something new from the tension between opposites. But your nervous system, trained in survival, interprets this expansion as a mortal danger. That is why you are sabotaging opportunities, undervaluing your work, or simply forgetting to move forward with projects that could bring you prosperity. It is not a lack of will. It is your nervous system trying to save you from what it perceives as an existential threat. Carl Jung revolutionized our understanding of the psyche when he discovered the collective unconscious, that deep layer of the mind that we share with all humanity, and that contains the universal archetypal patterns. But there is also what we could call the family unconscious, the beliefs, traumas, and patterns that we inherit from our ancestors as if they were emotional genes. Those voices you hear in your head about money. Money does not grow in trees. The rich are greedy. You have to suffer to deserve that. They are not originally yours. They are echoes of generations that fought, who survived wars, economic depressions, which had to choose between dignity and survival. Jung taught us that we carry the unleashed wounds of our ancestors, and these wounds are manifested as limiting beliefs that operate from the shadows of our unconscious. Your relationship with money did not start with you. It began generations behind. Every time your great-grandmother had to choose between food and medicine, every time your grandfather worked until the exhaustion of sense, every economic humiliation that your family experienced was recorded in the family energy field as a warning. Money is scarce, money is dangerous, money corruptes. Jung would call this the collective shadow, all the rejected and repressed aspects of the human experience that are transmitted from generation to generation. When you start to wake up spiritually, you're not only healing your own wounds, but also the ancestral wounds that you load in your emotional DNA. Your resistance to money can actually be an unconscious loyalty to the sufferings of your ancestors. The awareness of these inheritances is the first step towards liberation. Jung reminded us that what is not conscious manifests itself as a destination. When you illuminate these beliefs inherited with the light of consciousness, you can consciously choose what patterns perpetuate and which to transform, finally breaking the transgenerational scarcity cycles. Here is a truth that is rarely said aloud. Spiritual healing is not just about processing and freeing traumas. It is also about learning to allow joy, pleasure, and abundance to enter your life. Carl Jung understood that individuation requires the integration of all aspects of human experience, including those we have learned to reject or fear. Your ability to receive money without guilt, shame, or fear is what Jung would call an act of radical self-love. When your nervous system has been conditioned to associate money with negative feelings, allow it to flow towards you becomes a revolutionary act of self-assessment. It's like telling your psyche, I deserve good things. It's safe for me to prosper. Jung taught us about the importance of integrating the shadow, those parts of us that we have rejected or repressed. For many spiritual people, the desire for material abundance has become part of its shadow. They have learned to believe that being spiritual means rejecting the material, that poverty is purest than prosperity. But Jung would remind us that any rejected aspect of human experience will eventually take revenge from the unconscious. True abundance does not come from trying to heal internal wounds with external money. That would be what Jung would call a projection. Real abundance arises from internal alignment, from integrity with your health. When your internal value stabilizes, when you no longer need money to try something yourself or others, it is paradoxically much easier to receive. Small acts of fear repair, how to look at your bank account without judgment, learn to ask for what are worth, allow you to rest without guilt, help build the necessary internal security so that the external flow of prosperity can be established. Jung would say that you are training your psyche to recognize that it is safe to have, it is safe to receive, it is safe to prosper. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you are truly, said Carl Jung. And this includes fundamentally transforming your relationship with money, ceasing to block it unconsciously, and allowing it to flow as a natural expression of your spiritual value and alignment. The healing day involves in its nucleus, come to believe that you are sure enough to allow good things, including money and success, enter and remain in your life. Jung understood that we attract not necessarily what we want, but what we believe is safe and deserved for us. Your work is not tirelessly pursuing abundance or testing your value through exhaustion and sacrifice. Your work is to create a new narrative where spiritual and conscious people can not only but must prosper. Jung taught us that when we integrate all aspects of our humanity, including our right to material prosperity, we become more complete beings, more useful for the world. The objective is not to accumulate money by ego or status, but allow your prosperity to be a natural extension of your spiritual growth. When you are aligned with your true self, When you have integrated your shadow and healed your complexes, money ceases to be a battlefield and becomes a tool to express your highest purpose. Jung would remind us that individuation, the process of becoming who you really are, includes claiming your divine right to prosper. Not as a fragmented person who seeks external validation, but as an integrated being that recognizes that their material and spiritual well-being are not in conflict, but in harmony. Emotional and spiritual healing becomes the fertile ground where the belief that you are safe, valuable, and deserving of all the abundance that life has to offer can grow. The next time you are fighting financially in the midst of your spiritual growth, remember Jung's words. You are not going back. You are integrating. Your psyche is reorganizing to such a deep level that it may temporarily seem chaotic, but this chaos is the prelude to a new way of being that honors both your spiritual nature and your human need for prosperity. What part of this Jungian exploration resonated more with you? How is your individuation process manifesting in your relationship with money? Share in the comments. Your story matters and can illuminate the way for others who are sailing this same paradox. If this content has helped you see your situation from a deeper perspective, be sure to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. This is a space for deep thinkers, for those who are tired of pretending that spiritual growth and material prosperity are in conflict. Here we explore the truths that Jung taught us about human totality. Remember, you are not broken, you are becoming, and in that transformation lies your greatest power.